All right, let's dive right in. We're going to talk about a challenge that I'm willing to bet every single one of us has dealt with. What on earth do you do when you have too many good ideas? How do you handle that flood of inspiration without letting it completely drown you? Today, we're going to break down that exact journey from total chaos to real creativity.
I mean, think about it for a second. You're all fired up, brainstorming a new project, or maybe just planning out your week, and then suddenly that excitement just vanishes. And instead, you're just overwhelmed, feeling like you're buried under a mountain of potential that somehow turned into pressure. It's a feeling we all know, and it usually starts somewhere really, really simple.
That's a huge question, right? But the answer, believe it or not, is actually pretty small. Creativity doesn't start with some big, massive storm. It almost always starts with a single spark.
And we see it happening right here. Our character's just sitting there, calm and peaceful, and then, poof, it arrives. A single, perfect musical note. That's it. That's that initial aha moment that feels so clear, so simple, and just full of promise.
Now, this spark can be literally anything. It might be that killer idea for a new business, or maybe it's just the first sentence of a book you want to write. It could be a fresh start on a health goal, or just that one exciting thing on your to-do list that you can't wait to get to. It is pure potential.
And here's where the tables start to turn. Because that one perfect little idea, well, it starts attracting friends. One idea leads to another, which sparks another and another. What started as a simple, clean melody is starting to get a little complicated.
We start right here. One note, it's manageable. You know exactly what to do with it. Simple.
And then, boom. This happens almost in an instant. That one single note becomes thousands. The air is just thick with them. It's a complete avalanche of ideas, possibilities, and new things to do, all hitting you at the same time.
The result? Yep, pure chaos. Our character isn't in control anymore. They're literally buried, completely overwhelmed by the very thing that was so exciting just a moment ago. This is what we call informational paralysis. It's that awful feeling when you have so many options, you can't bring yourself to choose a single one. You just freeze.
This slide just maps out that whole emotional nosedive perfectly. That initial spark of excitement, it sours into anxiety. That beautiful clarity you had a minute ago, it's gone, replaced by a fog of confusion. And your motivation to take action just grinds to a halt. You're paralyzed. All that incredible potential just feels like it's lost in the noise.
Okay, so this is the turning point. When you're stuck in that state of total overwhelm, what can you actually do? Your first instinct is probably to fight back, right? To struggle and try to grab every single idea at once. But the most powerful move you can make is actually the exact opposite.
Just look at this. The character stops fighting the flood of notes. They just stop. They become still right in the middle of it all. Now, this is not giving up, not at all. It's a strategic retreat. It's making the choice to stop reacting and start observing.
And this quote just nails the whole idea. It takes that simple action, pausing, and turns it into a really profound principle. Finding that quiet spot inside yourself is what lets you see the chaos for what it really is. Not some unbeatable monster, but just a collection of individual pieces that can be sorted.
We can actually break this down into a simple three-step strategy. First, you just have to admit it. Acknowledge the feeling. Yep, I am totally overwhelmed right now. Second, and this is so important, you have to stop adding more fuel to the fire. No more brainstorming, just for a little bit. And third, you make a real conscious commitment to create some order out of the mess.
So you see, that pause isn't the end. It's really the beginning. It creates the mental grieving room you need to switch from that frantic, chaotic state to a calm, methodical approach. Our character isn't buried anymore. Now they're sitting in front of the pile and starting to sort through it, one note at a time.
The transformation here is just incredible. What was once a disorganized, stressful, and frankly unusable pile of ideas becomes a structured, methodical, and purposeful process. You go from being reactive, just getting bombarded by ideas, to being proactive, where you decide where each idea is going to go.
So what does this organization actually look like in practice? Well, a huge part of it is just grouping similar ideas together. Then you start sequencing them. What needs to happen first? After that, you prioritize. What's the most important thing to focus on right now? And finally, there's a step we all forget: discarding. You have to be willing to let some of the ideas go if they aren't serving the main goal. It's okay.
Now, this right here is the absolute core idea of this entire explainer. So often, we think that rules and structure are going to kill our creativity, that we need total, wild freedom to come up with great ideas. But that is a huge misconception. In reality, structure is the very thing that gives your ideas a place to live and grow. Think of it like a trellis for a climbing vine. All those chaotic notes, once they're organized, can finally become something beautiful and coherent. Creativity isn't lost when you get organized, it's unlocked.
This chart says it all, really. A single idea floating around? Sure, it's got some potential value. A whole storm of chaotic ideas? Well, there's even more potential there, but it's totally unusable, so its actual value is pretty limited. But an organized idea, that's when the value just skyrockets. That's when you can actually build something amazing.
So, let's tie this all together. The big takeaway is this. Raw, unfiltered ideas are really just noise. Taking that strategic pause is your first step to finding some clarity. And it's the structure you build that actually transforms all that noise into music. Your best, most brilliant work isn't going to come from the middle of chaos. It's going to emerge from a place of order. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Take a look at your own work, your projects, your goals. What chaos in your life right now is just sitting there, waiting for you to turn it into music?